Curiosity transformed the cat into a lion. Didn't quite kill it. I was lying on my bed like a flat starfish. Imagine literally a starfish. My hands and feet were spread out, completely lost. I was staring at my closet full of clothes, thinking, what am I doing with my life? I had just given up my resignation for a career that I worked so hard for 11 years to build. I had amazing boss, colleagues, coworkers, and I just saw my boss's Slack message on my phone saying, "You sure about this?" No, I was absolutely not sure. I had just quit my job and was about to move to another country and get married with nothing lined up that needed fully figuring out. I wish I could say that that was my only starfish moment, but the truth is, I had many, many, many starfish moments coming up when I was trying to figure out what to study, where to do my master's, which fields gave the best career and visa opportunities, while also piquing my curiosity, and when I was rejected by 350 job applications. That's right, you heard it right. 350 job applications, all rejected. Yet, through every single moment above, once I was done with the meltdown, I would get back up and try it again, just a little bit differently. All I needed was one win. Many people delay action until they feel certain. In my experience, certainty comes after you have taken the action, not the other way around. Small curiosity to try new things over and over again reduces uncertainty, it builds your confidence, and helps you move forward. A recurring theme is that uncertainty is not a problem to eliminate, it's a condition to navigate. Action builds confidence. You cannot postpone action while waiting to be confident first. The more you act in a slightly different way than your previous action, which failed, the more new information you will get, which will build your confidence. And the single driver for all my actions came from sheer curiosity to learn something new. Curiosity is much more sustainable than any willpower, and it can outlast motivation any day. Embrace uncertainty. So recently, I've been watching my brother in law build his small construction business from ground up. Like every entrepreneur, he's facing resistance, just problems after problems after problem. Not quite the most motivating story, but simply a real one. I also noticed something else. He wasn't asking whether becoming successful is possible. All he's asking is how. Asking how is that tiny difference that changes everything. And it all starts from curiosity. The process of success is neither linear nor always glamorous. Anytime you meet a successful person, ask them how they have achieved it. Chances are their progress was full of detours, failed attempts, and unexpected discoveries. The only way to make these outcomes productive instead of discouraging is through the sheer curiosity of asking how. It's a very powerful question. One word, but very powerful. Identity is flexible. Growing up in Bangladesh, in our social culture, we were identified as upper middle class. My dad worked in a regular job. We had a house, car, staff, and we lived comfortably. Bangladesh, mind you, has a very visible gap between wealth and poverty. We weren't necessarily uber rich, but we were educated and proud. Then, at 17-year old, I moved to Canada as an undergrad student, and being an immigrant really, really humbles you. I was just another broke student trying to stretch every dollar while never choosing Starbucks for my coffee. For years, I was a student. Then we eventually built careers, bought a home, car, and reached what most people would consider a successful household income in United States. In other words, I became upper middle class in America. If someone had described my life today to my younger self from Bangladesh, I probably would have thought, wow, they're uber rich. Isn't it funny how perspective changes when you're the one living it? But don't you see, your identity is always flexible. It grows from experiences. If you're too rigid with your identity, it can become your ceiling. So, my strategy is to avoid labeling myself based on my current knowledge and what I've seen in my family, such as, oh, I'm a 9 to 5 girl, not a businesswoman, or oh, I'm an upper middle class, or oh, I'm not creative. Instead, I try to shift it towards a learning experience. That's the only way my identity evolves. Instead of being trapped in a corporate job or not creative identity, I let my curiosity lead me to try, I'll write for 30 minutes during lunch every day for a year to see what improves my creativity. I'll test out opportunities to be successful outside a 9 to 5, and maybe, just maybe, something more than I can ever imagine. Learning loops instead of achievement loops. In our hustle based culture, a lot of focus is around goal setting. For example, what I learned through traditional goal setting is study in a good school, get a good job, work hard, retire early, and everything in between, like getting married, having kids, and saving for your kids' college, the whole thing. The whole system's blueprint assumes you know exactly what you want and the best path to get there. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that blueprint. In fact, it's a path that gave me opportunities I deeply value. But today, it isn't the only path anymore. The internet has completely rewritten the rules of wealth creation. Social media creators, YouTubers, software founders, investors, educators, people building communities online, like here through blog posts. There are now thousands of avenues that simply didn't exist 20 years ago. So, traditional productivity often flows like this cycle: goal, work, success or failure, then set up new goal. But curiosity introduces a different cycle. Ask questions, experiment, observe, reflect, and then ask better questions. Notice that success isn't the end point, learning is. This creates a more sustainable process because every curiosity contributes to future decisions. Stay adaptable. Life is unpredictable and our interest evolves. Replacing fixed goal with curiosity driven, small, manageable tests that generates learning regardless of the outcome. I say small so that it's not devastating. Goals create pressure to succeed or fail. Curiosity focuses on discovery. While goals can provide direction, it also creates several challenges. It encourages an all or nothing mindset, wrongfully ties self worth to outcomes that may be outside your control, discourages exploration because changing direction can feel like failure, and most importantly, it assumes you already know what will make you happy. That's a dangerous assumption. For example, I spent 4 years during my undergrad studying biochemistry because it's the safest science field to pursue for job opportunities, only to discover that the work I did after graduation wasn't fulfilling at all. The problem wasn't my effort, it was assuming that the destination would automatically bring satisfaction. And that, my friend, is a dangerous assumption. And the fact, and it was just never a fact that biochemistry will give me a good job. A satisfying job has a lot to do with your interest in it. So I went to challenge my assumption and pivoted to work in a small role in tech company out of curiosity. It piqued my interest, and then I went about doing my master's in that field after a decade of working. Even in tech, I worked in many different spaces like cybersecurity, cloud architecture, application management, and supply chain. To me, it wasn't a career ladder, it was a jungle gym. All different learning experiences, but all contributing towards my career growth. I kept my career interesting, and because I was curious to learn something new. I wasn't chasing perfection in any role, I was chasing learning and adaptation. It was more about taking action to do something imperfect instead of freezing in an attempt to make something perfect. Reflect. There's a reason why every company have reviews and reflections in their quarterly basis. In application development, we work in an agile way where we try tiny experiments to see what works during a 2 week sprint. Then, after every sprint, we have retrospective meetings to identify what worked, what didn't work, what we should do differently next time, what our customers liked, and what they did not. It's a safe space for a true reflection, never about pointing fingers towards any contributor. A safe space reflection is the only way to learn what worked. Whether it's a placement of a button or a color of the screen, every feedback cycle gives us valuable information. The exact same thing works for life too. Reflection transforms activity into insight. Without reflection, a curiosity based action just stays stagnant. It's important to distinguish temporary emotions from meaningful patterns. So, asking yourself questions over and over again after every action to find out what worked, what energized me, what drained me, what should I change next, what should I do better. These are valuable pieces of information that can transform the trajectory of your life. And it's important to ask yourself these questions more frequently so that you can pivot, question, and learn faster. Neuroscience connection. The brain learns through feedback and prediction. It constantly forms expectations, compares them with reality, and updates its internal model. A small curiosity to learn something new drives motivation without making it feel like this big mountain to climb and achieve. Getting frequent feedback helps you adapt more effectively than committing to a long term plan that may not match changing circumstances. Curiosity activates the brain's reward and learning system. When you're genuinely interested in a question, you're more likely to pay attention, remember what you learned, and persist through the challenges. This makes curiosity a more durable source of motivation than external pressure or willpower alone. Even when raising my toddler, when I see him throwing tantrum, rolling on the floor crying, I'm more curious to find out why is he upset instead of expecting him to act a certain way. Maybe that's why I no longer put on so much pressure on having it all figured out. I don't need to know exactly where I will be in 10 years or whether every decision I make today is the right one. As long as I make the decision based on the information I have now, I just need to be enough curiosity to take the next small step. I don't know whether I'll become a successful writer, entrepreneur, corporate leader, or something I haven't even discovered yet. But I do know that every time I follow my curiosity, I learn something that changes the next decision I make. Those tiny lessons compounds over time, and before you know it, you're living a life your younger self couldn't even imagine. I think success comes from being curious enough to keep asking better questions. And maybe, just maybe, the saying got it wrong. Curiosity didn't kill the cat, it transformed the cat into a lion. Thank you for listening to my blog post. My name is Maisha Taranum, and I am so happy for you to be here.